the seventh day, march around the city 7 times. Then the priests should make a long blast with the ram's horn. As soon as you hear the sound of the people shall shout a great shout.
The FEC chairman is actually serious about this and is going to start pushing this for 2015. There are 6 people on the FEC, which is standing for Federal Election Commission. 3 of them are Democrat, 3 of them are Republican. You can guess who voted how on this particular subject. This is some First Amendment shit I have not seen in a long time. Government has said or mentioned, controlling the internet in some way, some form, but they've never been really specific and never been very direct like this just happened. Now, what I'm talking about is to regulate political internet speech. With that being said, anything free, whether it be YouTube videos that you do, I do, anyone else does, a blog that you perhaps run, or a personal website, Facebook posts, or your Facebook pages, like one of my pages I have on Facebook for you guys, Twitter's accounts that are specifically for, or just your personal Twitter account that you post something on. The example they used, which was a major one, was the Drudge Report being actually regulated under this. The FCC should be the one doing this if this is truly what it comes down to. And there's 2 articles here, and this is one of them. It says, is the media prepared to vacate newsrooms for the weekend? Democrats snuck in last-minute proposal to the Federal Elections Commission, FEC, being allowed to heavily regulate political content on internet sites such as YouTube, blog, and the Drudge Report. And the person who is the chairman who leads this, Ravel, or whatever her name is, said and insisted, quote, a re-examination of the Commission's approach to the internet and other emerging technologies is overdue, end quote. And there is a gentleman that is on that committee that says the quote, I'm quoting him at this point, the FEC chairman Lee Goodman, a Republican, said if regulation extends that far, then anyone who writes a political blog, runs a politically active news site, or even a chat room could be regulated. This is actually the post or the original article I read because it comes in my email now. It's an Independent Journal Review, I believe is what it is. It's got some interesting stuff on it, some random stuff too. Not all just government. But it actually says in here that they're actually equating this to censorship in China because this all came up during a case in which there was an anti-Obama internet campaign that had been posted on YouTube for free. And it says, however, Democratic commissioners have taken issue with the fact it was not disclosed who actually made the videos. And what the chairman said about this. Some of my colleagues seem to believe that the same political message that will be required disclosure if run on television should be categorized exempt from the same requirements when placed in the internet alone. As a matter of policy, this simply does not make sense. In other words, what she's saying is that anyone who has anything that's free, period, should be regulated the same way as ads, radio ads, any ad that is paid for, that has to be, I don't even know, it has to be somehow recorded, or you have to register or something of that nature in order to run those ads. Okay, it's not just as simple as putting something up when it's a paid advertisement. And she is going to push this next year. It says, has announced that she will be leading the push next year for forging new rules concerning online political speech.
Net neutrality. Why are they putting in the governing of the internet right now? Because they can shut us up. That's your First Amendment right and your Second Amendment right. Gone within 2 months, basically. Pressure mounts on FCC chief over net neutrality rules. Washington, even before President Obama issued his forceful call this week for the strongest possible rules to the internet. To protect an open internet. It's not going to be an open internet anymore. It's going to be governed. The other thing that's going on, Trans-Pacific Partnership.
This is a censorship alert all the way across the board, specifically in Britain, but this is for everybody, because once they start something somewhere, you've seen how it can spread like wildfire. And now Britain probably dropping one of the most disturbing things yet, stating that they will be issuing licenses to individuals. Now they're proposing this, but this is what they want to do. And you see, when they want to do something, they push ahead and do it until the people absolutely revolt and revolt and revolt back.
Today is November 10, 2014, and Obama came out today while in China and said he wants full-on net neutrality, and he claims the point of doing this is to open up the internet, which is completely Orwellian, because the internet is the last thing that we have free in this country, and Obama is doing everything he can to shut it down, along with the Chinese and these other countries that are participating in this trade deal. And this whole thing is a complete setup with the Republicans. It's now coming out into the light because Mitch McConnell won the election, he became Senate Majority Leader, and now he's talking trade deals. But this whole thing with all these world leaders that met this last week in Beijing to discuss this has all been going on for a while, and this trip isn't planned, obviously, but they're trying to make it seem like, well, Mitch McConnell just got power, so now he wants to do this. This is all orchestrated, and Mitch McConnell is in on it. And so this article here says Obama says momentum building on historic Trans-Pacific trade deal. And part of the TPP is full-blown internet censorship. You can be banned from the internet permanently. I don't know how they plan on enforcing that, but that's part of the bill. It says Obama pushes FCC to turn broadband internet into a public utility with revised net neutrality rules, as Republicans claim it's Obamacare for the internet. So Ted Cruz says the internet should not operate at the speed of government. FCC's first net neutrality plan was struck down by a federal court. No service should be stuck in a slow lane because it does not pay a fee. Why do we got to pay fees for the internet? Why do we got to be taxed on this? See, that's what this is all about. This is all about having more taxes, paying money to the UN, the world body. President Barack Obama sided with open internet activists on Monday. See, they call it open internet, like the internet's not already open and free. It is open and free. The fact that I am allowed to post this video onto YouTube and say whatever I want without any kind of consequence proves the internet is free at the time being. I know YouTube has their own censorship BS that they like to pull on this, but it's not the U.S. government directly doing it. And my impression of all this stuff about the fast lanes is if they don't actually censor your web page, they're going to make it slower. So the web pages that the government likes, like MSNBC.com, they're going to make it so that when you click on the link for that website, it'll pop up instantly. But let's say you want to watch one of my videos where I criticize the government, they might make it take 20 minutes for that page to load, and that's what we might experience in the future if we let them have their way.
Now, imagine if we were to kick this abuse up a few notches by turning over control of the internet to the United Nations. This is an outfit, remember, that has none of the checks and balances or mechanisms of accountability that are built into our United States Constitution. Many of the member nations of the UN are totalitarian regimes that already employ Orwellian surveillance, censorship, and repression to the limits of their technological capabilities. Yet, as insane as it may seem, the ruling powers here in the United States are preparing to turn over the Internet, which was invented and built here in the U.S., to the UN. This may sound extreme, but since 2006, the United Nations has been discussing the future of the Internet through their Internet Governance Forums, one of the latest being hosted by the government of Turkey in Istanbul. The Turkish government, according to the liberal left human rights organization Freedom House, is, quote, the world's leading jailer of journalists, end quote, and is infamous for censoring the Internet as well as numerous other human rights violations. Opportunely, the person who oversaw the Istanbul meeting was Wu Hongbo, Undersecretary General of the UN's Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Comrade Hongbo, besides representing the UN, ultimately answers to his real bosses in Beijing, the leaders of the Communist Party of China. The Communist Beijing regime, of course, is notorious for brutal repression of all human rights, including rigid censorship and aggressive policing of the Internet. Undersecretary General Hongbo issued the UN's official invitation for the Istanbul confab, quote, on behalf of the Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon. Hongbo was in Istanbul joined by fellow Communist Party comrades who attended as official participants, as well as members of the IGF's multi-stakeholder advisory group. China's representation included Professor Ling Gao of the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, Li Xiaodong, CEO of CNNIC, China Internet Network Information Center, which is an agency of China's Ministry of Information, and Chang Hongbing, China's permanent representative to the UN office in Geneva, Switzerland. These are the folks that have helped build and maintain China's shameful Great Firewall that the communist regime uses to spy on, censor, restrict, and police Internet usage. Among those representing Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin at the IGF Istanbul were Robert Alexandrovich Schlegel, a member of Russia's parliament, the State Duma. He is also a spokesman for the Russian Internet Governance Forum, where his official bio boldly admits, or perhaps boasts, that Schlegel was the press director of the Nazi movement, Putin's version of the Hitler Youth. These are but a few of the repellent individuals who were in charge at the UN's IGF Istanbul. In the past 2 decades, the Internet has provided a platform that has allowed a flowering of independent, alternative media that now challenge the so-called mainstream media and provide a range of news and opinion not previously available. This is absolutely vital to freedom. Do we really want to see control of the Internet turned over to Wu Hongbo, Alexandrovich Schlegel, and others of their kind? The Obama administration apparently thinks so and has been giving its blessings to move in that direction. No surprise there. As we have reported, it is being promoted by the usual cast of globalist world government promoting organizations, led by the Council on Foreign Relations and its British sister organization, Chatham House. No surprise there either. Former Department of Homeland Security Chief Michael Chertoff is a member of the Global Commission on Internet Governance, launched by Chatham House earlier this year. The Obama administration has already begun the phased transfer of Internet control to a vague and uncertain governance structure that has been set up as an innocent-appearing transition platform that ultimately is set for transfer to UN control.
On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times. Then the priests should make a long blast with the ram's horn. As soon as you hear the sound of the people shall shout a great shout.